Hi, this is Rainbow Harmony, here to help you find balance and peace to live a more colorful life. And this is your card of the day. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background, but that's the sound of the wind. We have all the windows closed, but the wind here today is so extreme, it's like making these crazy noises, so that's kind of interesting. Also, I just wanted to say thank you guys for so much support on my new series, Tell Your Story. I've gotten over 100 entries now. It's absolutely incredible. Once again, I wish I could read everybody's stories. I did read and reply to a couple of them, and there are a few I have selected to put on the channel. And thank you so much for supporting the first story that I posted. It was kind of extreme. We started off right away with the story about childhood abuse, and so many of you guys came forward to say, me too, this happened to me too. And as I'm reading through the stories, I'm realizing a lot of the stories are about abuse. So excuse me, we're definitely going to be talking about that a lot on the channel, and I knew that there was a reason that all of us kind of came together on this channel. I think a lot of us have been through the same thing, and my abuse is kind of what led me to start this channel, and you just spread love and light to help other people, to just offer kindness and love. And it's interesting to me how reading through all of your stories, it's like my stories, so it's like we've been attracted to each other for many reasons. One of them is definitely we've all been through the same thing, and so hopefully you guys on this channel can start to find more comfort and more solidarity and more validation for what you've been through. And if you want to send me your story, just email me at castleintheclouds01@gmail.com. So yesterday I was so caught up in all the stories that were coming in, and also in the love readings and personal readings I've been working on every day, that I forgot to do the card of the day. So sorry about that, and here is your card of the day for today. Oh wow, how interesting that this card comes out. I was thinking about this card. This is called the Guardian, and when most people see this card, they're really freaked out. I remember the first time I saw this card, I was like, oh my god, does this mean like something bad's gonna happen? But I'm actually realizing this is one of the most comforting and most beautiful and most interesting cards in my entire deck. It's cards like these that lead people to really have kind of prejudices against the tarot, because they see this darkness and they think, oh, this is like the devil's work, and tarot is evil and all this stuff, because there's images like this in the tarot. But if people took the time to actually understand what the tarot is talking about, I mean, even in the Bible and religious texts, there's mention of, you know, the darkness or the devil or whatever you want to call it. And this card does actually represent that archetype. So I want to read you guys this. It says, over the centuries, there has been much cynical manipulation of the concept of the devil for political, religious, and doctrinal purposes, leading to the demonizing of this complex pagan nature spirit. Yet the prime role of this archetype is one of protection and initiation, and is the human link to wilderness, nature, and fertility, sometimes manifested as fierceness and ecstasy. However, the fear that's engendered by the warping of this archetype will be with us for a long time to come. So first of all, the message here is don't be afraid of this. If you're afraid of this card, it might mean that there's a part of you that's afraid of confronting and facing your own inner darkness. And truly on this path, we're called to embrace our dark side, realize that all of us have this kind of dark nature inside of us, and realize that through the darkness, it's kind of how we understand the light. For instance, it was going through abuse and realizing that, wow, there's these people here on this planet that are doing these horrible things, that ultimately opened me up to my truth and like what I had been through, and it led me to the path of healing. And on that path, excuse me, excuse me, you guys, the wind, there's like a lot of dust in the air. I'm in Egypt right now. And so through this, I've actually realized that it's not without the darkness that you understand the light. This is a planet of contrast. There's dark and light, there's up and down, there's hot and cold, there's good and bad, etc. And I feel like without this, you don't understand the lightness within you. And so it was the dark ultimately that led me to the light. And so this card is talking about being initiated into understanding some deeper truth, confronting your darkness, confronting the things that people have done to you, the bad things that have happened, instead of running away from it, like facing it and facing your fears and allowing yourself to go through an organic healing process. So The Guardian, this card, stirs irrational fears from the muddy bottom of the human subconscious and fills the timid soul with foreboding. He is charged with an inhuman and unseen sentience, feeding off fear and panic with a malevolent joy. But within this sardonic and chaotic energy lie wisdom, courage, and strength. The human survival instinct was geared for fight or flight, yet we have learned to rationalize our darkest fears and deal with the unknown dangers with intellectual insight. As we have evolved our understanding of the unknown, we have learned that no diabolical or supernatural force in the universe is as frightening as the human imagination. So this card comes to tell you the only thing to fear is fear itself. The only thing to fear truly is fear itself. If this card is frightening to you, it's because you're frightened by your own reflection, your own dark shadow. And it is this element of ourselves we must master. Within this process is the stripping away of conditioning and the distilling of absolute essentials within ourselves. Much can be gained by facing our own most deeply hidden and suppressed fears, which usually stem from our own deepest instincts and our desires. Once this truth has been absorbed and utilized for our own defense, the darkest of places and the most challenging of forest guardians can be looked in the eye without fear. So, for me, as an example, I think I had this fear of what people would think about me. You know, you grow up, you go to school, you know, a lot of people tend to get bullied, and so you're so focused on being cool and fitting in and wanting to just, fit in with everybody, not wanting people to talk crap on you, wanting to just be seen as someone who's normal. And it's really funny, like the crazy things we do to fit in. I remember trying to wear certain things and listen to certain music, even doing things that really weren't part of my true nature, just to try to fit in. And this is telling you and asking you, like, where are you trying to fit in when you should really be allowing yourself to shine and stand out? Like, because we were born to shine. We were born to be our own unique people. And the fear of what people would think was actually blocking me from being able to live my mission and purpose, from being able to put myself out there and accomplish my dreams and goals of wanting to be a fashion stylist or a model or makeup artist. It kept me from being able to start this channel. I mean, I got the guidance to start this channel, but it wasn't for an entire year later that I actually hit, post on my first video, because I was thinking, what are people gonna think? Are they even gonna understand what I'm saying? What are the people around me gonna think? I'm talking about spirituality. A lot of these people were very religious that I knew, and I was wondering, are they gonna think I'm crazy? Are they gonna think that I am just gone mad or something? And now I don't care about that at all. I realized I had to face that fear and I had to put myself out there anyways. And so usually this card's representing some kind of deep fear that you have that's standing in the way of you living your truth and doing what you love and wanting to express yourself and be artistic and be passionate. So ask yourself, what are you really afraid of? Maybe it is the same fear that I had of what will people think. And so the only way to confront that fear is to face it, is to challenge yourself to do something anyways, to post a selfie or something, or to just write something and say what you feel, or to just join that class, or to enroll in that school, or to take that path, or to start your YouTube channel, or to reach out to that person, or whatever it is. That's kind of what I'm seeing here, is that there's something standing in the way for a lot of you guys, and it could be the fear of what other people think. It could be the fear of something bad in your past that's happening again. Maybe you're afraid in love to put your heart out there again because in the past it didn't go well. And so this is kind of telling you, like, it's time to face your fear, and it's time to let go and know that your fear is there to kind of show you where you need to grow. And so I'm happy to say that I face my fears. I still have that fear sometimes, but the rewards have been much greater. Being able to connect with all of you guys in this community, having the opportunity to work with top models and to style and to do the things I love and be published and to just have that is so incredible. And now I think about all the people I was worried about what they thought. Most of those people aren't even in my life anymore. So it doesn't even matter to me anymore. So Wow, can you guys hear the wind? So this is saying, a challenge has arrived in your life. The situation may be very complex. It may even have profound implications for your life and how you deal with the world. It may manifest itself in the form of a profound inner realignment and the facing of some kind of physical outer predicament. Whether from the labyrinth that is the human mind, or from some external source, the challenge that presents itself now must be seen for what it is, an opportunity. If something has been hidden or repressed, if a situation has been left to decay or become unhealthy, now is the time to take control of your fears and deal with the insecurity with courage and integrity. Always be aware that however threatening or difficult the situation is, you can only become stronger and more resilient from the experience of understanding and accepting inner darkness. So this card is kind of like the trickster. It's kind of telling you, look around in your life, because maybe some of the things that are happening and some of the things that are getting like shaken up, or certain things that are falling apart, are actually happening because there's something you need to face. And so it's telling you to look deeper, to expose your fears to yourself, realize what am I afraid of, and start facing those fears one by one, because that is how you're going to get stronger. For me, I'm still going through, extreme anxiety and depression and PTSD. And I got to this point a couple years ago where I was terrified to leave my house. I was terrified to ride in a car. I was terrified to go to the grocery store. It was so intense I had to enroll in therapy. And my therapist started giving me homework to go to the store, to go out in public, to get in a car. And it was so hard for me and so terrifying. But once I faced those fears, it helped me. And every time I had a good experience, and sometimes my deepest fears came true, because I was like, what if this happens? What if I run into somebody I know from the past and I feel like I have to explain myself to them? What if this happens or this happens? And sometimes it happened, and I had to face that, and it was scary, but I remember always coming home and feeling great, wow, I did it and I feel better now. It took a long time for me to finally be able to get out of my house, and I made a major leap of faith to travel, because my therapist told me, you need to travel, you need to get on planes, you need to get on buses, you need to get on a crowded subway, you need to just work on this and get through this, because you need to be able to live your life and do the things that you love. And so I did this. A couple months ago, I booked myself the plane ticket and decided I'm going to do this. I'm going to travel. I'm going to take all these transportation. I'm going to put myself in the middle of busy cities. And right now I'm sitting in a city full of 90 million people, and I want to cry because I feel at peace, and my anxiety hasn't popped up once since I've been here. I've been on extremely crowded subways in Paris where you're all up on the people around you, and there's no air conditioning, and it's jerking, and you're falling all over the place. And I handled that. That was hard for me, but I handled it. And the more that I try and the more that I put myself in the middle of these situations, the more it helps. And I'm at this point where I don't really have anxiety about traveling anymore. I mean, it still comes up, but I just do it anyways. And so I don't think I would have gone from being completely agoraphobic and not able to leave my house to getting on a crowded subway. But I started little by little, going out into nature, going to a little social gathering or to a restaurant, going to the store, and then, taking a bus and taking a car. And then over time, I worked my way up to being able to travel. And so you just got to realize, what are you the most afraid of? What have you been avoiding? And how can you start confronting that little by little? Because that's the only way you're going to get over those fears. That's what I realized. I couldn't get over it unless I actually did it. And same thing with my YouTube channel. I couldn't get over that fear of what people would think about me and being judged until I just started the YouTube and just did it, So this is telling you it's time for you to start facing your fears. This is my favorite card in the entire deck. When I first got this deck, it was the first card that came out, and it terrified me. And then I read the passage and I was like, oh wow, I'm afraid of this card because I'm afraid of my own fears and my own darkness. And I'm coaching a couple people right now that are terrified of the devil and Satan and demons, and we're working through this and realizing that this is all a construct. It's all in our mind, it's all in our head, and like we have to be the ones that realize we have the power, and like we can decide whether or not we want to allow that to have power over us or not. Whether or not we want to see this as a helpful force or not. And I think a lot of us have been indoctrinated with religion. You know, really, some people, you know, have been fortunate enough to be brought up in a religion where, you know, they talk about the devil or the darkness, but there's more focus on the light. There's more focus on, you know, love and peace and kindness and whatnot. But then there's some religions out there that use this concept, like this says, over the centuries, there has been much cynical manipulation of the concept of the devil for political, religious, and doctrinal purposes, leading to the demonizing of this complex spirit. And so once you realize that there is no God without the devil, once you realize there is no light without dark, you kind of realize like this has a place in our life. Doesn't mean you have to like worship the devil or anything, because some people out there like really afraid, oh, you're a devil worshiper because you know, this is all just concepts, you guys, you know, and a lot of these religious texts are metaphors, and you can take a lot of beauty from them, but if you take it too literally, that's when it starts to get kind of scary, you know. And I'm realizing the religion I was brought up in, a religion a lot of you guys are brought up in, really some of the speakers and preachers and people would talk a lot about the devil and put people down and make it seem like this awful thing, and if you don't do this, you're going to hell, and if you don't do this, you're gonna be a devil worshiper, and you're gonna get possessed, and like all this stuff. And so people start getting it in their heads that like they need to avoid their own fears, that they need to avoid the darkness, that they only need to be light, and like, and then you do something to like sin, or you do something to like, and you realize there's darkness within you, and you're terrified of it, and you're afraid of it, and you want to hide it, and you don't want to face it. And I tell people to just face with whatever's in front of you. If these dark thoughts are coming up, if you're worried about the devil, or you're worried about demons, or if you're feeling like maybe you're possessed, or just if you're having any thoughts like that, like you really need to start thinking like maybe this is a call for me to like realize like what am I afraid of, and like what do I need to face, and to remember that you do have power over yourself and over your mind, and it's all in your head, you know. And I think that the concept of the devil has been kind of manipulated in religions and in many things, and kind of taken out of context. And once you realize like you can learn from this, and like you can become stronger from this, and even in the Bible, like Jesus like confronted the devil and confronted the darkness and became stronger by it, and realized like that he could have, or they could have power over this. You realize you can too. You realize that like this is going to come into your life. This force is going to come into your life at times, and it's kind of a message for you to dig deeper, to face your fears, to realize what it is that you're avoiding, what it is you're being tempted by, and how you can become stronger. And also just to kind of go easy on yourself. You don't have to be perfect. You know, if you've given in to your darkness, or you've been avoiding things, or you got agoraphobic like me, you don't have to feel ashamed of that. Like, it's just part of your life, learning how to overcome these things, and you become stronger, and you help other people along the way by facing this and becoming stronger. So overall, what I want to tell you guys about this is I feel like today you could be confronted by some kind of fear or some kind of worry, and this is a message for you to confront that fear. You know, sometimes I have this worry because I'm traveling around the world. What if I don't make it to my next destination? I think that a lot. I'm like, what if I don't make it? What if something happens, you know? And so instead of running from that, I'll confront it, and I'll be like, all right, so if that happens, then I don't know, like I'll probably figure it out. Like I look back at my past and realize some of the crazy shit I've been through, and how I've figured it out, and how the universe always provides for me. I trust in my future self, and that's something you guys need to realize. Like, start gaining trust for yourself, and start looking back and realizing how you made good decisions, and how no matter what was thrown in front of you, you figured it out, and you're always going to figure it out no matter what happens. And trust your future self to make good decisions for you, and ground yourself in the present moment today, because some of those fears you have are irrational. You know, sometimes it comes from something deeper you need to face within yourself. And a lot of those fears and worries that come up are kind of from like, it's like a survival mechanism that we don't really need anymore in this modern time. So confront your fears, face them, think about it, allow yourself to really go through it, but then tell yourself, you know, this isn't happening right now. Right now I'm here and I'm provided for. I have water, I have food, I have a roof over my head, everything's gonna be okay. That's what I tell myself, you know, and I'm always provided for. I'm constantly just always every step of the way. Like, I've always had food to eat. I've always had a roof over my head. I've always, for the most part, there were times I was homeless, but I feel like that was really part of my journey. And so look, you realize some of the fears I have come from a past I went through. And it's about confronting that past and realizing, like, okay, like, that happened, but it doesn't have to define me. I don't have to repeat the past. I can make different choices. I've learned from that. I've moved on. You know what I mean? So I trust you guys. I know that you guys are going to be able to get through today. I know that whatever fears come up, you guys will be smart enough to be able to confront that. And I want you guys to know that no matter what darkness you're facing right now, you can prevail over it and you can learn from it and you can make friends with it, you know, you can embrace it. I always tell people, whatever is on your path, embrace it, welcome it, because it is your guide, it is your teacher. So teach the darkness, or treat the darkness right now as if it's your teacher. Embrace it, learn from it, know that this is exactly what you're supposed to be going through right now to help you in the future and to make you stronger. So I'm sending you guys so much love and light. Peace out.